Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It's September 18th, 2025, and as September, we are talking about train stamps. In my stamp of the month, that is. There is a giveaway this month that you can win a bunch of train-related stamps. If you go to that video and that video alone, and you write in the comments the word that I've given you to put in, you'll be entered to win, and at the end of this month, we'll draw a winner of wonderful train stamps. And that being said, I thought, well, today we're going to talk a little bit more about trains and the postal system. My story is going to start in Albany, New York in 1887, and it's going to end at the Smithsonian Museum. How do we get from point A to point B, and what's the story in between? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, so make sure you like, you subscribe, you leave positive comments, you share with other people, you hype the videos, and you put the notification bell on so you don't miss out on anything. Well, Albany, New York, 1887, in a little post office, there was a postal clerk, and he brought in his pet dog to the post office. And the dog loved the post office so much. He loved the smell of the mail bags. He laid on the mail bags. He protected the mail that was in those bags. His name was Owney. And he loved the mail so much that when the clerk that had him as a pet decided that he couldn't do the job anymore, he was leaving the post office, he couldn't take Owney with him because Owney felt so at home with the mail. He left Owney in the post office. He became a postal mascot. He traveled on the trains with the mail. And he was a terrier mix. And he loved the mail so much. He protected it from others who wanted to get close to it, but he let those that worked in the postal system, other clerks, access it when they needed to. Well, if you know anything about the railway, back in that day, it was an integral part of transporting mail around the country, and they actually sorted the mail on the trail in mail cars. As you would pass by stations that they weren't necessarily even stopping at, there would be a bag of mail on a pole, and they would collect it as the train went by to bring it in, and the postal clerks would then sort it, and then as they got to the next stations where the mail might be going to, they would put the mail back out, or if the train was actually stopping there, they would release the bags. Well, Owney traveled the rail, north, south, east, west, all over the United States. And as he traveled, he picked up little medals. So if he ended up in St. Louis, they might give him a little medal for there, and they would attach it to his collar that he had. But as the medals grew and grew and grew, they made him a special jacket, and those medals were attached to the jacket. As the jacket got heavier, they sent the medals back to Albany, as they were to be collected there. One of the reasons they did this was they were afraid of losing the dog. They gave him a special collar. They had property of Albany, New York on it, and the dog went wherever it wanted to go. So as the train stopped and mail got off, it might have gotten off, and it might have went on another train and headed to a different place. There was a short period of time where they weren't sure what happened to Owney, thought that he might have passed away. But actually, he went international. He ended up in Montreal, Canada, and the post office there had to shelter the dog, had to feed the dog, and so they sent a bill for $2.50 down to Albany and asked them to pay for the care of their animal. And so when they paid that bill, Owney was shipped back on the train back to Albany and continued his duties. So that was kind of a funny thing that happened along the way. Oh yeah, Owney was seen as a very lucky dog. Any train that he was on never had a wreck. So the superstitious time that it was, the people around decided that if Owney wanted to be on their train and travel with the mail, then they were on for a lucky route, and that they were going to make it there safely. So they were glad to have Owney with them. In 1895... Owney got his first around the world, and only around the world, trip he ever got to do. He got to go on trains with the mail. He got to go on steamer ships with the mail. He started in Tacoma, Washington, and for 4 months he traveled to Asia, Europe, the Middle East, North Africa. He received honorary passport and medal from the Emperor of Japan when he reached there as well. He traveled more than 143,000 miles or 230,000 kilometers in his lifespan. But as he aged, an influential manager of the railway told employees he shouldn't ride the rails anymore, and a mail clerk in Toledo, Ohio, decided that he would take him in. And he was kept chained up in the basement of the post office in Toledo. Well, Owney's personality changed and probably didn't like the fact that he had liberties of going wherever he wanted for all those years, and now he is chained up in the basement of a post office. Well, apparently he tried to bite one of the postal clerks. He also tried to bite a U.S. Marshal, and so the postmaster called for him to be put down. And so he was killed on June 11th, 1897. He was shot dead. This didn't sit well with the postal clerks, the postal workers throughout the U.S. Owney was a respected mascot of the postal system, of the railway post, and so they refused to bury Owney. They raised funds to have him taxidermied and protected him. He was then presented to Postal Service headquarters, and it was seen as a sign of the times. As management of the post office were talking about the inefficiencies of the post office and their workers, the laziness of the workers, Owney was seen as this person that rised up. Management had him killed, and the workers felt that it was their right to protect Owney, and so they did. They have him as a forever mascot. Even in 1904, he was at the St. Louis World's Fair representing the postal system at the time. There was a commemorative silver spoon that was issued in his honor. In 1911, he was sent to the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. In 2011, they gave Owney a little bit of a makeup, or a makeover. It'd been 100 years. He was starting to show his age. So they made him up. They gave him the makeover he deserved to celebrate his honor. And on July 27th, 2011, Owney received an official U.S. postage stamp. So you'll see Owney in a great front portrayal in the stamp. And in the back, you'll see a bunch of the different medals that he received. Because during his 10 years, or almost 10 years of postal work, he received 1,017 medals. That's what they think he received in total. They don't have them all now, but many of them are on display at the Postal Museum at the Smithsonian currently. Owney's been the subject of 6 books and is one of the most influential exhibits in the Postal Museum of the Smithsonian, and great for the education of children that want to come and see the dog and learn about the postal system. And there's even a Facebook group that is also dedicated to Owney. So if you're on Facebook and you want to go and look at Owney and find out what's happening with him, learn a few things along the way, you could do just that. Now, Owney wasn't the only postal dog in the world. He had a contemporary, Bob the Railway Dog in Australia, who served from 1878 up until 1895. Is also out there, but Owney is by far the most famous railway dog. Something should be said, if we're celebrating 250 years of the U.S. Postal Service, that Owney also be a part of that history and the importance of the railway and the post office in order to get mail quickly to different destinations. Today, where are we at with the postage system, the postal system around the world? I don't know. But would it help if we had more mascots? Man's best friend, as they once said about dogs, or maybe we need a hedgehog post office mascot, who knows what. But I was lucky enough to be told about this by Ida Marie. Ida Marie is in Washington, D.C. She volunteers at the Smithsonian and with the Postal Museum. She sent me a postcard with Owney on it that is from the Smithsonian. She also sent me a copy of the stamp So you can see right there. I'll put a bigger one up too. And an article from 2011 that talks all about Owney, the stamp, his time, what he went through. There's some images too as we go through. You can see one of the medals that he would have received at some point. And this is when he got his makeover in 2011. And you can see it was in some sort of a stamp magazine that all of this came out. So it was really good to read through this, to do some research online about Owney. And I'm very pleased to present Owney today as a way of saying that the post office has gone through a number of changes over the years, whether you're in the United States, whether you're here in Canada where I am, whether you're in Australia where Bob was, or who knows where else in the world. It's changing. We don't have people traveling on horses most places delivering the mail. We have cars more than we have trains, but there are trains, there are airplanes, there are less steamer ships delivering mail. Probably not a lot of dogs protecting the mail as it travels. Certainly when we mail a letter, we expect it to get there in a quick fashion. Does it get there any quicker now than it did 100 years ago? I sure hope so. But the method in which we transport mail around the world has changed. It continues to change. Do we write as many letters as we once did? No. The answer is simple. We just don't. Email, electronic services has changed that. Yes, we still have parcels. Parcels are still being delivered by postal systems around the world, and other private carriers are doing it as well. I am very happy to be a postcrosser, which means that I'm sending out physical mail. I send out postcards around the world, and I get them back in return. So mail is still being used by some, but I am not naive enough to know or to say that the system is not changing. As a mail carrier myself with the Canada Post, I know things are changing. My job isn't the same as someone who did the job 100 years ago. Is it an easy job? Some days, yeah. Honestly, it is. Some days it's quite an easy job. Now, I've been doing it a while, so I am used to the area. I'm used to my route. It takes me a lot less time to do it than someone who is replacing me when I'm on vacation. But I know that things are changing. And they have to change in order for us to survive. Because we're not always going to be sending postcards in the mail. Are we? I hope we are. Because there's something really special about getting a tactile piece of information from around the world. And that's why I love postcrossing, is because you are finding out all sorts of information about places from whence you might never get to visit, from people you might never get to meet. And it's just a snapshot of their lives. We send postcards like this. That was sent in 1942 during the Second World War. Someone took the time to write a bit of information here. This particular card left Vancouver, Canada, and went to Texas. So it's got a Canadian stamp on it. This one also has a Canadian stamp on it. Also went to the US from Canada. And there's no postmark on this one, but it does say Saturday, August the 11th. I just don't know. Oh, the year, 1950. So will we have cards that one day someone will be looking at from 2025? Yeah, we will, because they're being sent right now. I am continuing to send them right now. And in 21, 25, will we have mail? I don't know. But I sure hope we have a mascot like Owney that is helping out people in the post office and being a good representative of how we should be treating each other and how we should respect the mail. And yeah, that's my take on Owney the dog. And so happy that it was introduced to me, and I had a chance to show you some of the things that Ida Marie has sent to me in order to make this video possible. That's it for today. Hopefully you learned something. And if you got an Owney the dog stamp, maybe today's the day you want to take it out and have a look at all those little medals in the background of it. If you don't have one, maybe it's one you want to add to your collection. Have a magical day. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Bye. If you don't know what Postcrossing is, go to postcrossing.com. It's free. You can sign up there. You can send your first 5 postcards off, and when they get received, they'll get registered, and postcards will start returning to you. Now, it is a look back in time because you have to be patient. Your first postcard might take 2 weeks to get there, and you might take another 2 weeks before you get one in return. But that's the joy of postcrossing. Now, I've created a few postcards. These are the channel postcards that I have that I send off to people that write to me for the first time. I send one of those back to them just to thank them for watching the channel. But I got this bunch of postcards because October 1st is World Postcard Day. And every year I have created a postcard, at least for the last 3 years, to represent my channel and to talk about World Postcard Day. And so tomorrow's video showing you what mail I received, I'm going to show you what the postcard is this month for this year.